Greetings, Internet, and welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. This will be turn 5 of my playthrough of Air and Arm of Wurzburg, as denoted by all the comments behind me and the thumbnail that you press. Not sure who's going to be going next because there's an initiative roll. So we completed 4 turns. There have been some bumblings and fumblings along the way, but we're making progress. This is a playthrough of Thermopylae, and it's only the basic scenario as advised in the playbook and in the rules. Only play up to a certain point. I mean, it's still quite a lot of rules, but we're not using things like air, helicopters and such, and mines and engineers and so on. So that they'll be coming in the next playthrough that I'll do of this game. But we need to finish this one. So we've got turns 5, 6, and 7 to do. How far I'll only be doing turn 5 in this, and I might only do the first alliance. Depends how long the video takes to do. So without any furthers, let's go down the map and see what's going on. Okay, there's the overall situation. The Warsaw Pact are trying to break through and exit. Well, let's bring the annotations up. I know I keep doing this. Here we go. And let's put that in red. They're trying to get off here. So obviously that's the drive of their offensive. We have one shattered regiment here, and we have another one that's taken some losses but is starting to break through here. In reserve, there's still this one here and the armor, which is here. The Warsaw Pact will win a decisive victory if they get one of the HQs, which are both here, off the map. NATO have got to stop them. Also, there are, for every step that Warsaw Pact get off, they get a victory point. HQ is decisive, I just said, and losses. So at the present moment, NATO is ahead in the victory points because for the losses that they've inflicted on the Warsaw Pact. But there's still, as I said, 3 turns to go. Let's just clear all that up. I do like this feature, actually. I haven't used it enough in the past. Let me know in the comments what you think of it, if it's useful seeing what's going on there. Now, let me bring up the sequence cards so we can see what we're doing. And as I've said before, don't go off-piste. Follow this until you are an expert, because you go off slightly, you'll make mistakes like I have done countless, well, let's say countless times, a fair few times in this. Whilst we're here, I'd like to make a shout out to Maximilian, who has been absolutely sterling in the comments. If you haven't read the comments on the previous episodes, I recommend you do so, because he has been so insightful and helpful, pointing out mistakes. That's one of the reasons why I did the videos in the first place, is someone who knows the game can help with the mistakes, to help us all play this game, because it deserves to be played. But Maximilian has, as I said, been sterling in both commentary and rules wise as well, and tactics. So yeah, big shout out to him. So it's Maximilian M. Well, you'll see him in the comments. Please read them. They are excellent. Thank you, Max. Anyway, moving on. So we are in the sequence here. There's no reinforcements. We've got the Warsaw Pact planning phase, which is the first thing we've got to do. Actually, that wasn't strictly true. I paused for the most important thing, vocal lubricant, i.e. tea. One must need tea if one's going to talk a lot. Anyway, back to the Warsaw Pact planning. This is what was planned last time. We're going to have to look at each of those regiments to see what we're going to do this time. And the amount of command points that the Warsaw Pact has available. They have, it's the number in red on the HQ there. So there's 1 from that HQ, 1 from that HQ. And do they have enough board? I know NATO does. I can't remember. I think they have an off-board one as well. Hold on there. Bringing the playbook up. Just as a reminder, I'm sure they have one off-board. Off map. Yes, they have one. So they effectively have 3 command points. So even they couldn't get all 4 regiments into an attack because they've only got 3 command points. So what to do? Remember, we don't know who's got the initiative. So ideally, I mean, this Bradley here is exposed. It's way in the open. Um, the armor's a bit closer to react. NATO have only got 2 command points. So if they do react to attacks, they won't be doing much in their own turn. But obviously the artillery is fresh. The Warsaw Pact artillery is looking a little bit on the depleted side. Well, they've still got their rockets, I suppose. So what to do to plan? I mean, we have got a full regiment here, and there's 2 Bradleys there sitting in light wood. We could 1, 2, 3. Could do a hasty attack here, and what do we do? An assault here? I think a hasty attack as well. 3 hasty attack. This division, sorry, the regiment's doing nothing because it's shattered, and there's not much left of it anyway. So let's do that. Let's do 3 hasty attacks. Remove that. Oh, actually, I can just flip it, can't I? Next operation. There we go. And that's a command point. I better make sure I get the right regiments. Okay, so this is the 22nd, 2-2, and the 23rd, and the armor. Is that ideal? I could put something into reserve, but can we see NATO counter-attacking? I can't, so I won't. I mean, obviously, this is the problem with playing solo. You sort of roughly know what the other side's going to do. Um, it's very difficult to surprise yourself, but in this type of game, because I can see all the strengths and such forth, in the next playthrough I do of this solo, I will be bringing in the hidden movement and the air assets and the helicopter assets. But before then, I'll actually bring in up a opposed playthrough of this very same scenario without the air assets and such forth, against a chap in America. We're into turn 3 on that one, and I'm playing NATO. So yeah, and it's very interesting playing it opposed. You think you go, oh, that's a surprise. Oh, I didn't realize that. You get dummies and such forth. So it does enhance the game, and I'm hoping to get that same feeling when I play it solo with the hidden mode. But we're not doing that. We're still learning the basics. So we have 3 hasty attacks coming in. So when I do that, I've got to appoint a lead regiment on these units. So there is a counter that allows you to do that, or a little button on here somewhere. Mark lead unit. There we go. It's fairly redundant where this is, but I'm again just showing it because if the regiment is spread out, as you might have seen in the previous episode, it helped that unit was adjacent. They've got to be within 3 hexes to be able to participate. Units. So, like if there was things like other assets such as engineers, they would have to be within 3 hexes of that lead unit to be able to join in. So that's that part of the turn done. The Warsaw Pact planning phase. The next part is the interesting bit, the maneuver phase. Who rolls? Well, who has the initiative? Warsaw Pact rolls, so we'll use the red dice. If it's odd, the Warsaw Pact have it. The Warsaw Pact have it. Okay. All right. So we're at that place there, the maneuver phase. alternate activation cycles. We're into this part of the sequence now. So it says activate one division. There is only one division, so we're activating it. Okay. The also plaque player only places a lead unit marker on the maneuvering regiment activated in the current cycle. Sorry, I should have done that then, not in the planning phase. Oh, okay. Jumped a little bit of the gun there, but we've done that. No redeployment. The reconnaissance segment. Okay. The Wurzburg have no reconnaissance off map, but they do have 2 points. It's the yellow. The one in the white circle on the HQ there is how many reconnaissance points they've got. 2 from that HQ and 1 from that HQ. So what we want to try and do with their remaining assets is try and knock these boys out of the action. Or at least one of these armored as well. So let's see what we can actually recon. And it's taken from the nearest unit as the spotter, as it were. I think that has got to be the prime unit that we want to actually try and find. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hexes from the nearest Warsaw Pact unit, which is also within command range of its HQ, which means you can do a recon check on that unit there. So it's in the charts and tables, and we're looking at the terrain the unit is actually in. So we just zoom in a little bit. There we go. Right, they're in what they call heavy woods, and it was 7 hexes. So it's a 9 that's needed to be able to detect that. It's pretty difficult. There doesn't seem to be any national modifiers, but things like improved positions, fog, and such forth would improve or make it harder to. Sorry, an improved position would make it harder to detect it and such forth. We can't get any improved position because we haven't got any engineers to build them. So we need a 9 or a 10 to be able to detect that unit. 7, close but no cigar. Okay, so that's 1 recon point. Now each hex can only be attempted once, so we will now try for this hex. That's probably going to be the same, a 9 or a 10. Oh, close, but again, no cigar. All right, so that's those two. We've got 1 recon point left. And I think we're going to try and see if we can find this armored unit here. Okay, now he's in Lightwoods and he's 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away. Okay, so that's a 5. So that's an easier to detect. 8. Okay, so we now have him, so we can put on an acquired marker. All right, and that is the recon phase completed, which is that step there. Now we can do a strike, and I think if we can actually hit this armored unit and stop it reinforcing, that could prove useful. Okay, so let's do that. We have got 1 step of towed artillery, and where's the rockets? There, 1 step of rockets. So we're going to fire both into that hex as a fire strike. I'm sure that the Warsaw Pact can do that, but it doesn't hurt to check. Fire strike, army call, that's NATO. NATO fire support table. You want to look at the Warsaw Pact fire strike, can be 2 artillery units and a helicopter if we're using helicopters, but we're not. Okay, again, they've got to be in range of the HQs, which they are. So that's 1. Oops, it's in there. 1 set of rockets. It's 1 times by its attack factor is 8, but for 8, and the artillery is 1 times 5 for a total of 8 plus 5 is 13 firing into that hex there. It's then halved. Half of 13 is 6.5. That's 6. They need to get 9 to actually hurt that dude. That's difficult. That is extremely difficult. Do we actually want to fire that? Because we're looking at we need +3 because he's got defense of 9. In fact, he's got defense of 10 because of the light woods. The artillery's not powerful enough to take out that. Okay, switch of target. As we're adjacent to this guy, we can fire on this guy. Yeah, let's do that. Let's target him instead. We've acquired this guy. Great. But this guy's adjacent, so he's acquired anyway. And we'll do exactly the same strike. It should actually. So, as we said, it was 8 plus 5 is 12. Sorry, 13. Halved to 6 and a half, which is then halved again. Not halved again. Sorry, rounded down to 6. Okay, yeah. Let's hit him. With a 7, that's a +1, I think. That's an 8. Yeah, that's an 8 result. He's only got a fire defense of 3. Open ground. Open is bad news. Yeah, the terrain effect chart is at the back. A clear, yeah, it goes no bonus. So that takes that step actually out of the equation. Yeah, I only had one step remaining. So let's bring up NATO TOE, take that off the map, eliminate that, so that's gone. That's actually NATO's 4th loss to that brigade. Gives the Soviets a victory point, which now takes them to 5 victory points for eliminating that step. Does NATO want to do any counter battery to that? Can't see any reason why they wouldn't. This guy's in Lightwood. Let's take him out if we can find him. Okay, so he's in range of this battery, which has got a fire strength of 8, but he's got to be able to detect him. So we're looking on the counter battery chart, and only one unit can fire. Now, this is towed artillery, and the range from the spotter is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The nearest NATO is 5. Exit range from spotter is 5. He's towed artillery, and we're looking at the NATO charts. Sorry, the US chart. They need a 4 or higher to be able to detect that and home in. 6. So that means they can fire at him. So this unit will fire. Where's my fire marker? Place fire marker. And that's a good point. You can place a fire marker on him or him. There we go. Right. Okay. So he's now firing with a strength of 4 times 2 is 8. And then it's halved to 4. And then we make a die roll. And we roll a 6, which I think is a 0 modifier. I must admit, I do like that the dice aren't the most important thing. They do add a little bit of shift here and there, and they can be enough to make a 2 hits to a 1 hit and such forth, but they're not the most important. It's not like you're going to have a change from a defender eliminated to attacker eliminated on a range of 1 dice. It's gradual and granular, and I do like that. Okay, so that's no modifier. So it's an overall of 4 hits in that hex, which that artillery's got defensive 2, so that takes that artillery out of the equation. He's gone. Cease to be. It is an X-Parrot, and it's pushing up daisies. That earns NATO another VP. That takes them to 13. Okay, so that's a strike and counter battery counter strike. we are now into the operations section. So execute operations in any order desired. So we're going to begin with a hasty attack. So we move to the commitments. Declare participating regiments, task force, and objective hex. Now, this was going to be an objective hex, but it doesn't need to be anymore. So we've got 3 regiments here. 1, 2, 3. And potentially now 2 targets. Should we target this? It's defending in a town. That's not the best. I mean, the purpose of him being there was to reinforce here, or here. Well, hopefully that battery would have fallen back a bit. But now he's a little bit exposed. Armor in town is not great. It's actually got, I believe, half on the defense. Let me just double check that. Actually, yes, if he fires out there, he fires at half effect. But his best defense is the open terrain next to him. So any Warsaw Pact unit that moves into these hexes here to attack him are in the clear and the open and will get no defense modifier. So even though this guy will be attacking at half, that's 18 total, half to 9, it's still potentially taking out 3 steps of Warsaw Pact infantry. That's heavy. That's nasty. We don't want that. So what we can do, though, as a Warsaw Pact player, if we attack this unit, we can stop this unit from reinforcing. I think that might be the best thing to do. We're going to start with this regiment here doing a hasty attack on this. We have to put an objective hex marker on this. So place objective marker. And what we want to do is put a unit here. So we can't get, if we put a unit here, yeah, he could still reinforce. But to get a unit here, he's got to go past that anyway. Decisions. Or is that the better unit to attack by putting a unit in there? You know what? I think that is. Let's do that. Let's change the objective to there. Lots of thinkings out loud here. There's 2 Abrams here. If we put a unit there and it's got to get there, yeah, it can't reinforce because then it's yeah. Okay. So that's the first step. We nominated our lead unit and the objective. Now to actually engage this unit. What we actually got. So let's just move that for the moment. All right, so we're going to move a 1-step unit. Come on out. Come on out, you know to. There you go. Okay, we're going to give it 2 steps. So I'm allowed to do this. So as that unit's leaving, we're going to decrease that one to 3 and increase this one to 2. So this is now a 2-step unit. Now, which way is it coming out? So that's 1 movement point there. Remember, as a hasty attack, they've got 6 movement points. So 1 to there. 2 to there. Now, ideally, we want to be there. So let's do that. Right, to move from there to there, let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. means he will suffer infiltration fire from this unit here. Okay, so infiltration fire from a zone of control to a zone of control. And he's got 4, 5A times 1 is 4, and then it's halved to 2. So that's 2, and then the modifier. With a 4 is a -1, so that's no effect. So he actually gets there successfully. So far he's moved 1, 2, 3. He has 6. I'm quite, because what we're trying to do is stopping this guy reinforcing. So he would have to go 1, 2. He could still go there. I know that is a heavy wood, so that would cost him 3. So he can't get in that hex now. No, so he can't reinforce. Okay. The next unit out, we will also give it an additional step. So this 3, we will decrease to 2. We'll increase this one to 2. Okay. And then we'll move in there for, well, actual fact, we will move into there for 1 and in there for 4. And then the last unit, we'll move there to there. The lead regiment marker actually remains where it was. Okay, so that's the movement of those, of the 23rd, what are they called? Motorized infantry. That's the movement step. We know there's no jamming because we haven't got any of that. So we're into reaction. Okay. So as we've just determined, these guys cannot get into the objective hex, so they can't react. No. Okay. No reaction. So we're into the defensive fire step, as we can see here. The only artillery they can call is rocket, and rocket can't be used as defensive fire. It's bringing in, it's too close. It can be used for strikes only, effectively. So we're just straight into the defensive fire step of the infantry unit itself. So it's going to try and fire on this unit to try and give itself a retreat path. Okay, so it's 4 times 1 is 4. It's in heavy woods, so it doubles. Now, would it have doubled in infiltration fire? Did I miss something there? Let me just double check that. No. It's a simple answer. No. The actual chart is quite clear. So close terrain, firing out of a hex, infantry has got a DD in its little column, and DD stands for units defensive fire is doubled when occupying the objective hex only. In all other cases, its fire is unaffected. There we go. I do like it's very clear in the actual charts and tables. So going back on our defensive fire, it's 1 times 4 is 4, but then it's doubled because this is a defensive fire phase. So that's now 8. Then, as we know, everything gets halved anyway, so it's back to 4. So it's firing with 4 into there, and then we've got the die roll. Ooh, NATO do like rolling good, don't they? 9. 9. So we're at 4 at the moment. With a 9, that's +2, that's 6. That's disastrous because he's only got a defense of 3. Because they've moved into the open there, clear hex, defensive modifier versus offensive fire is none. That die roll is crucial. That's just taking out 2 steps. Ouch. Expecting 1, hence why I put 2 in that unit. Wasn't expect, well, there we go. A 9 or a 10, you know, it's a 20% chance. 20% chances happen 20% of the time. So let's just eliminate that. Egon. Yeah, I'll just pause there. Okay, so that pushes NATO up to 15 VP. Okay, that hurt from the Warsaw Pact player point of view. Yet. Well, I don't know. East Germans, nine. Okay, offensive fire calls that they've got no offensive fire to bring down because artillery is always being used. That's it. Wait a minute. Yes, yes, it's marked with fire. Um, offensive fire steps. Another is infantry fire at that hex. So we have 2 times. In fact, there's four, isn't there? There's four remaining. 4 times 3 is 4 threes are 12, halved to 6. Yeah. Don't think there's any other modifier on there. Halved to 6. Like firing is close to rain. Firing into hex, no modifier there. No. So it's 6. So they should take this out unless they roll rubbish. It's these dice. Unless they roll rubbish. I called that in, didn't I? Oh dear, oh dear. As I said, I mentioned in the last video, have they made these dice this way? Okay, what is the effect of that? A 1 is -3. A 1 is -3. They're on 6. -3 is 3. And with 3, he's got a fire defense of 3. I think he's got a fire defense of 6 in there. Because you add the heavy woods itself. Heavy woods is +3. So they needed a straight roll there, or better, and they didn't get it. They got nothing. Nothing. That was a heavy, heavy loss for the Warsaw Pact. Because also this regiment is now, he's only got 4 steps remaining. Is not in a good place. Not in a good place at all. Well, that completes that operation. It wasn't very good, was it? Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I can understand why the Warsaw Pact would be getting a little bit frustrated at this point. Next. Well, we were hoping that would be taken out and then to move these guys through, maybe to push on and engage this armor. Well, that didn't happen, did it? So let's do that again. Or do we try and take this one out? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got to risk infiltration fire from this nasty. That not good. If we engage this infantry. No, we're going to keep working on this one. We can't keep rolling badly, can they? Can they? Objective hex. This regiment, hasty attack. Right. So we want to get here again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So infiltration fire from there to there, from this unit again. Okay, so as we know, it's 4 times 1 is 4. Half to 2. With a 7. Is that +1 or +2 with a 7? Someone made a comment that they should make these dice with just the modifiers on them. The 7 is +1, so it's a 3. That's not enough to hurt that armor. Yeah, instead of having the numbers on, which is fine, the little combat results, have on there a +1. And then on the 1 have the -3. Because that's all the dice is doing. +1's -1. Or have 2 sets of dice. One for combat and one for anything else that's required. I think that'd be a nice little touch. So, 5th Corps, and if anyone's listening from the design team, yes, please. I think that'd be brilliant. Okay, so they get through. They didn't suffer anything from infiltration fire. I think it's just time now to bring up the big boys. Yeah, we can't. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. All right. So, try to remember, they can't end up stacked with different regiments. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't think they can. They can move through, but I don't think they can end up stacked. Anyway, so they've moved. That's the movement part of the turn. Defensive fire. There's 2 lots of open hexes. So again, we're going to fire this unit onto here, trying to give it a retreat path. I mean, yes, they can retreat there, but then he'll be getting retreat fire from this unit. Anyway, if he retreats. So looking at this guy, we know he's got 4. 1 times 4 is 4 times 2 because he's defending in heavy woods, close terrain. So that's 8, again, halved to 4. Bloody hell. Okay, that's +2. That's 6. Okay, that's enough to take out an armored step. Boom. So, what are these? T62s? They look like, well, they could be T62s or T72s, couldn't they? The Soviet armor sort of does look the same. That takes down 1 step. Okay, so good fighting from the mechanized infantry there. They've taken down a step. I better add that on to the losses. So let's just bring up the tracks. No, that's not. Yeah, NATO VPs are now gone up to 16. Boom. Okay. Okay, so now the offensive fire steps. So, but it's armor firing into close terrain. And I think that is hard. I knew it wasn't ideal. So close terrain, firing into the hex with armor is H, yeah, is hard. So we've got 8 steps, 8 fours, 4 8s, 32. 3 plus 5 is 8. Just double checking. Yeah, 4 8s, 32. Half 32, 16. Halved again, because of always the halving, is 8. Hey! +1, 9. Wow. Okay, 9. They've got a defense of 6. Heavy woods is actually +4. Heavy woods is 3. So that's 6. So we've inflicted 9. They've taken 6. They can retreat. So they will do so. That will use up 6 of them. So they will retreat to there. As they retreat, they take retreat fire from this unit. Because he's moving from a zone of control. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. This is close terrain. Zones of control do not extend into close terrain. So he gets away with that. Hmm. Okay, so that was the retreat step. These will move into there and there, give them cover, um, which means he becomes engaged. So he's flipped. These guys have completed their operation. That didn't go well either. Hmm. Defending in the heavy woods. Okay, so anyone who can think of a better way that could have been done? And I'm looking at you, Maximilian, or anyone else who would like to make a comment. Yeah, that didn't go too well. So far to try and take out that guy has cost the Warsaw Pact 2 infantry steps and an armored step. Hmm. Okay, next, these guys. I was going to do a hasty attack there, but I'm not even sure that's even advisable because we've just seen, all right, this is only in light woods. Okay. Now, if we move adjacent to that, can that still react into there? I just need to double check that. Yes, as long it cannot start the reaction step adjacent to an enemy unit. So even getting something adjacent to that unit will stop it reacting into there. Okay. Have we got enough strength here? Remember, the Warsaw Pact can use, in a hasty attack, can use road movement for the first 3 movement points, for the first, well, half its movement allowance. So they could go 1, 2, 3 to that point there. 4, 5, 1 unit get in there. That would stop him being able to react. Well, we've got to get moving. You know, time is of the essence. Let's do this. That's got 2 steps. That's got 5. Got 2. Okay. So I'm actually going to decrease this one to increase this one. Move that into there. That's 1 movement point, 2 movement points, 3 movement points to there. Then we're going to go from there to there. 4. That gives them infiltration fire. So that's 4 times 2 is 8, halved to 4. You can't quite see that. That's a 7, so that's 5. Yep, that's a step loss. First of all, I should have also marked that as objective hex. Okay. So he's taken a step loss. That's not good. But push on into there, which means he gets another infiltration fire from this. I don't think there's a limitation on the amount of times you can fire, but I could be wrong. So let me just double check that. Yeah, you can fire multiple times. It treats the terrain as one that's been exited. So when this unit here moves from there to there, it's classed as coming from the woods. If it was moving from here to here, this unit's fire, in fact, this unit's fire, because they could combine fire, would be doubled. Because this is moving from a zone of control and zone of control in the clear. Not a good idea. Okay, so this unit gets to fire again. So again, 4 times 2 is 8, halved to 4. And they roll low. No. Oh, the dice are killing the Warsaw Pact. That's 4, 5, 6. That's 6. They've got to put in the clear. That takes them out. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. As I say, the dice are absolutely murdering. Okay, this is where I'm going to make an executive decision on the dice. Okay. Um, I'm not going to accept that roll. I know I'm butting in here, but it's getting, I mean, because that will wipe that unit out, which would make the whole offensive pointless because then this guy could react into that hex. So I'm going to say they took out 1 step and leave 1 step there, just for the narrative here, rather than, if I was playing the game against something, it would be, yeah, great, great. But yeah. So we'll decrease that by 1 step, leaving them 1 step in there, because an average roll of fight would have been 1 step loss. Infiltration fire is deadly, especially when you roll a 9 and keep rolling 9s. But there we go. So that's an executive decision. I'm not having that. But that's still a victory point to NATO, taking them to 17. Right, let's carry on with the rest of the regiment. Okay, so that'll go 1, 2, 3, 6. And the other 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. It can then, that'll be 1, 4, because you can still use the road at its, but only 1 movement point per hex, not at the full road bonus, rather than pay the woods 4, 5 to there. Okay, so we're now into defensive fire step. Reaction step, this unit, as I say, cannot react into there because it's adjacent to the lucky and judicious intervention of that unit being there. So it will defensive fire on its own, and it's not in heavy terrain, but it will defensive fire on this guy to clear his retreat path. So he's got, again, 4 times 2 is 8, back to 4. I'm going to, I don't know if I should fire this dice. Let's try a different blue dice. The dice gods are definitely with NATO. They definitely are. Okay, that takes that guy out anyway. Yeah. All right. Let me just pause for a second. Takes NATO to 18 VP. That's defensive fire, so offensive fire. So we now have 4 times 2 is 8. And we've got, so actually just add them all together. So 6 steps. Yeah, 6 steps. 6 fours are 24, halved to 12. That's a 10. So finally, the Warsaw Pact, the dice change, +3. That's 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so fire defense of this hex, Lightwoods, they've got 3 plus 2 is 5. So they're going to be eliminated. I'll just double check that is +2 for Lightwoods. Lightwoods defensive modifier is +2. Okay, so 3 plus 2 is 5. So they can absorb 5 of those 15 by retreat, but then they're going to take another 10 points of losses, which will then eliminate that unit. Okay, so let's just double check that to make sure I haven't made it cocked up on the math. So that's 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 fours are 24. You halve it, so that's 12. Plus then the roll is 3, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, that's enough to actually eliminate that unit. Finally, something goes right with the Warsaw Pact. an act of me helping. Well, I mean, he still got eliminated anyway, didn't it? So in the end, what we were stopping was that guy intervening by moving unit adjacent. So let me just clear that all up. Okay, and they can advance into that hex if they wish. They might as well move that into there. And that, you know, will actually decrease that. One step will advance into there. Yeah. Okay. So that's the three. Let's just zoom out. Remove the lead unit marker there. Hasty attacks completed. It didn't go too well for the Warsaw Pact there, but NATO are now on 6 step losses for that brigade, so they're going to have to test for shatter. I think that's one of the last things that's done in the turn. What does NATO Warsaw Pact want to do with this? They're quite happy to keep those units there, so they're not actually going to do anything. The artillery is fired. We don't really want to move the HQs up. They're not vulnerable, really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Actually, technically, this armor could move into attack there. Okay, so would they do that? 1, 2. They'd have to take. I think we need to put something to cover there. Okay, let's do that then. So these will march 1, 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4, 5, 6. Flip that. And then we're going to put something to stop this Bradley running up here. So 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's them done. Quite happy with the rest of it. So that's the Warsaw Pact. Let's go back on the actual sequence here. We've done so we go back on the activation cycle. They've finished there. They've done what am I talking about? Yeah, we're still in the movement phase. They've done their operation segment. There's none of the extra things here to be done. So we are then moving into the NATO turn. So NATO, what to do with them? I think I'm going to do them in the next video. So let me bring this back up to the top. This little thing has been absolutely catastrophic for the Warsaw Pact. This little dice. So what did I do? I brought this little dice into the equation and it still rolls really well. You can't control these, unfortunately. I know I let the Warsaw Pact off there because they were just getting absolutely hammered, and they still are. The unit's defense factor is not great. They're very vulnerable, especially to Abrams. You know, they've got to really think about not getting engaged with those 2 tank units. So yeah, we've got, but now the NATO brigade is going to have to test for shatter at the end of the turn. I've still got to do their turn 5, which I'll do in the next video. But it's been, what I'm finding, it's very, very bloody. Units are getting shattered or getting close to the shatter value very, very quickly. especially when you're moving through like light woods and in the open, it's just a death trap. And from what I understand, that's pretty much the nature of modern combat. You know, units are their 5As are so devastating that moving is just absolutely catastrophic. But you've got to move. You've got to take objectives. So losses are going to occur. Um, and when I obviously play this oppose, I'm going to have to, understand that and be ready for catastrophic losses, especially in the bigger scenarios. You're going to have, divisions being ruled out quite, I should imagine, quite quickly. Hence, reserves are going to become important. And that's just another layer. I mean, at the moment, we're not exploring things like air support and helicopters and all the rest of it, how that brings it in. And also the hidden movement, which I say I'll do once this game, this playthrough has been finished. So from my perspective, just seeing the basics, it is deadly. Bringing in helicopters and such forth, you just wouldn't want to move at all, but you've got to, especially as the Warsaw Pact, you've got objectives to do. You've got to get, I suppose, effectively off the map in this scenario and whatever the other scenarios where you're on the offensive, you've got to get to your objectives. But it's going to be costly. That's just the nature of the game. Um, anyway, that's enough of jibber jabber from me. I hope you enjoyed that. If I made any errors, I'm sure Maximilian will point them out, and that'll be all good for all of us. If I didn't make any errors, well, that's good for me. I'm learning. So if you could hit the like, if you did enjoy the video, don't hit it if you didn't, but if you did, please. It's just, it helps. If you didn't like the video, let me know why. What did I miss? What could I do better and such forth. If you really like the video and you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel. And as I always say, any comments will be responded to. Much appreciated. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy them. Until next time, play games, have fun. Bye, Internet.